i-netradio.com. i-netradio.com.
Dobry den, I Dobropa Jalabat. This is Springtime in Moscow with your host, James Tuthill, and I'm Stefan Stimson. We've got some Russian with a little American, and we're serious with a little humor. So, Jim, what is happening in the world today?
Thank you, Steve, for the nice words. I'm Jim Tuthill, and this is Springtime in Moscow. Springtime in Moscow is now on YouTube and i-netradio.com, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and also on powertalk.com, pwrtalk.com. Today, we have an interesting question on Springtime in Moscow. Does morality have a place on Wall Street? From the right, I have with me Jake Danishevsky in New Jersey. Jake, how are you today?
I'm great, Jim. How are you?
I've never been better, Jake. I'm down here in beautiful Florida. We're recording right in our studio in Jupiter, and it is gorgeous. I also have with us our wonderful producer and sometime co-host, Stefan Stimson from the left. Stefan, it's great to be in the studio with you today.
Yeah, it's great to be with you, but I'm not from the left, Jim.
You're not from the left.
I'm from the radical center.
Radical center.
Moderate.
I like a guy who's a radical moderate. That's the kind of guy we're looking for here. Okay, Steve, I'm going to let you go first. We have this question, does morality have a place on Wall Street? Steve, do you think that corporations in America are contributing to the downfall of America?
Oh, yes, most definitely.
Why do you think so?
Well, as I've said to you in the past, the corporations have evolved from the old business owners, factory owners that controlled the people that work for them. Corporations, the new evolution of what that was, which was basically the haves versus the have-nots, which is one of the things on Wall Street that has been proven to be very inequality. I think that corporations need to be more controlled through Wall Street as one means, but other means also. But Wall Street has just got away with murder. They've been able to, as corporations, rape the average person to where the little man now has pretty much lost everything on Wall Street. The people that make the money are the big corporations and the banks, the pension funds, the big players, and this needs to be controlled. What we saw in the last 3 or 4 years, the Wall Street tycoons got away with murder. Not one of them has been brought to justice, and they have completely raped the American people. They are the epitome of what capitalism is all about. It's climb over whoever you have to, stab your mother in the back to make the dollar to get better, to try to get into that 2%. And as that 2% is going to get smaller and smaller, and pretty soon there'll be no capitalism in this country as we know it. It's being usurped by the other countries. I think I mentioned to you that 50 years ago, 1958, I think it was, Khrushchev said to the United States that we will bury you. Well, it won't be in the form of communism. It's going to be in the form of capitalism. As our capitalism declines here, it is growing in Russia and China particularly. One of the points where I see that happening is since we've exported all our workers, we've come into what's I call a neo-colonization period, where we will be the last great colonizer. And what we're doing is we're not colonizing land, as in the last 200 years, we're colonizing labor. We've shipped all our labor to these places, and now we're controlling those places in terms of labor. And the people in this country have lost jobs. The middle class has dwindled. And to really get things going here, I attribute most of that to the right. The right has been the supporter of big business and not the little man. Today, we need the unions more than ever because the little man is being raked more than he was even 200 years ago. He might not have to work 50 hours, 60 hours a week, but even to get 30 hours a week, he's lost that. There's no jobs. So I can go on, but I don't want to, take up the whole hour.
I'm going to turn it over to Jake. Jake, do you think that corporations in America are hindering, impeding, or wiping out the middle class? Do you think that the actions of the corporations in what they're doing with the middle class are leading to the downfall of America?
Well, let me first, can I reply to Steve first?
That's what I want you to do.
Okay. With all due respect, Steve, even though you say you hit from the middle, you do say that you attribute all of this to the right, and I could not disagree with you more. And I'll explain to you why. First of all, capitalism is the only system in the world that raised any society where a person can actually create opportunity, create success out of nothing. Now, having said that, I do agree with you to some degree that capitalism has not worked properly. And more government and more regulations will not give you better capitalism. What it's going to do is going to actually destroy it. So what you're asking for is you're asking for government to step in and help. Actually, the problem exists that we have big business, Wall Street, married to politics. Now, having said that, we have Wall Street basically contributing into politics and politics contributing back into Wall Street. So I don't know how you're going to regulate from the government, over-regulate any business, and the Wall Street, especially when the government actually benefits from the Wall Street.
Well, the first thing you can do is limit campaign funding.
Okay, good.
That's the first thing I would do.
Okay, I agree with you. That's a good point. But here's my point to further what I said. When they started to help stimulus, with the stimulus, they started to help the banks, and they said they had this campaign slogan, "Too big to fail." I did not agree with Bush, and especially I did not agree with Obama when he took it completely, even twice, and even more money into failed businesses without giving them any kind of a sense of responsibility. For example, when the businesses were failing, we said, let's save the banks, without even thinking that we're just dumping money into something that's a gushing wound. It was not fixed properly. Nobody had to take any responsibility, and we just dumped taxpayers' money right into them. So even though I completely disagreed with Bush, it opened the door, and Obama just did it 10 times more. I mean, he basically took more money and just dumped into the same hole. So that's the first problem. Second problem, you're saying that we're gonna see problems and unions we need more than ever. I disagree, because unions used to be great for the worker maybe 100 years ago, but now what unions are doing, they're basically destroying the workforce, because unions are getting fatter. They're dumping. I see you're smiling. Wait, let me finish.
There are no unions left.
Well, there are. Well, I'm sorry. There are unions left, because I actually worked for a company and we built systems for unionized workers. I work in information technology, and let me tell you, when they write you a check to your company for about $15 million because they have somebody else's money and they have a lot of it, they don't care about the money. Not to mention that unions do not represent the workers, they represent themselves. Workers think they're being represented, but they're actually being, how should I put it lightly? They're being shafted by the unions themselves.
I can see where you're right there, that they're supporting a new bureaucracy, but there's got to be something or somebody to stand up to these corporations and stop the exporting of jobs like that's happened in the last 15 years. I mean, this is going to be the downfall of capitalism as we know it.
Well, yes, and I agree with you on that point. But let me explain to you the way I see it. If you try to overregulate the job force, if you try to overregulate the corporations, tax them to death, I mean, obviously they're going to try to find a way to take their business where they're being more profitable. I mean, I'll give you an example. I used to be in the business myself, And even though it wasn't a big business, I mean, between paying the employees, taxes, different regulations, different things, I mean, it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. So if the business can succeed in America, if you give business a way to succeed in America, I guarantee you business will come back to America. Big business, small business, you will have.
How are they going to come back? How are they going to come back? Why aren't they hiring people? The biggest problem we have in corporations in the economy right now is they're not hiring. They have the money. The money is there. They have more money now backed up corporations than ever before in the history of the United States. They have more money. They could be doing R&D. They could be putting people to work. Corporations should start schools to train people. They complain that there's nobody trained coming out of colleges to put them to work. They got job openings. Why don't they start schools like the Catholic Church did, 100 years ago, so that people were able to get a better education than the normal parochial schools, and they were the ones that succeeded more. And this is over the last 100 years. Corporations need to do things like that to take over and be more enlightened in terms of entitlements. Take it away from the government, put it on the corporations. They are the problem with this country. And until the corporations are brought under control and made to do things, but we'll never solve the problems in this country. But okay, we'll never see inflation go. We're lucky inflation's down now, but it's going to come back roaring in about 5 years. The way things look right now.
Okay, but what you're saying is let's take over-regulating government and now over-regulate them more and put more strain on the corporations. And some of the corporations, let me remind you, some of the corporations are actually small business because some of these corporations are starving and they're not making a lot of money. Even though they make a lot of money on the outside, they still have to pay a lot of expenses, and they have to pay a lot of regulations that are being put on them. So if you say put more regulations, I'm not talking about Wall Street, just Wall Street. I'm talking about a regular company that has research and development, has workforce, and you're saying to train the workforce. Of course, I'm all for that, but the problem is, if you put government into that formula, you just recreate the problem even more so than you did before. Government does not create anything. Government only takes power away from the business, from the free business.
Well, I don't agree with that at all. I think the government has to step in because there's nobody else to do that, to control corporations. Corporations have the money to set up schools. They can do it, but they don't want to do it because they live by the stockholders. And the stockholders want every penny they can get. And who are the stockholders? 95% of them are the rich. The rich are just squeezing money from everybody else.
Let me ask you a question. If you say government has to regulate corporations, how many rich people do we have in the Senate? And let me remind you, those people that say 2%, like Kerry is one of the richest people in Senate. Okay,
I agree. I agree.
So you're gonna have people like Kerry overregulate the corporations? I mean, seriously.
No, but one of the things I admire about Obama, he's the poorest president we've had in 75 years.
But
he's a person of the people. The closest thing we've had to the people's president since John Kennedy. John Kennedy was from a wealthy family, but he was for the people. Very few presidents are thinking about the people. They're thinking about themselves and the party. The party is another evil in this country. We've become too partisan. No, there's no more bipartisan.
So
nobody wants to get together and solve problems. They vote, and they're made to vote on party line. It's become left and right. One party's left, one party's right. They're both wrong. They got to come together. They got to do away with the parties. They got to create a third party, maybe. A third party.
Stefan, so let me see if I understand you correctly. You're against parties, but you support Barack Obama, who's the most left president we had in history. Now, Barack Obama hasn't done a single thing for the people.
Oh, my God.
Now,
talk about him wasting money on the banks. He's trying to plug holes that Bush created, just like he did with a lot of automotive.
Blame it on Bush after 5 years in office. Go ahead. Give me one thing that
Obama saved the auto industry. He saved it.
Okay, wait. I was waiting for this. Can I speak? Can I speak?
We're going to let you speak, Jake. You're in New Jersey.
All right, let me speak because in New Jersey we like to speak.
Yes.
Let me tell you about auto industry since you brought it up because I was waiting for this. Now, here's the most famous comment from the most brilliant person in the government ever, Joe Biden. And Joe Biden said something most brilliant that nobody ever did. Bin Laden is dead and GM is alive. Now let me break it down for you on the GM portion of it. You know how socialists or communists in Soviet Union used to show you that they actually made money and they're doing better because they're communists by lowering standards and by perception of reality. Now, GM closed 1/3 of its plants, 1/3 of its dealerships, and they laid off 120,000 employees to show you that they're actually out of the red. Now, on top of it, auto industry got twice they got stimulus, and they paid back, not with profits, but they paid back with the $50 billion they got from the second stimulus, pretending that they paid back some of the loan. So now let me ask you a question. We dumped tax money into a company that was failing, that did nothing to fix itself, and they closed off. They didn't close off the failing plants and dealerships. They closed off plants and dealerships that the government told them to close off. So how is it that they say they put a Band-Aid on something that's gonna burst later?
No. They put money into that. I mean, Obama will go down in history as saving the auto industry. I'm not saying it's going to go on for another 50 years, but as we know it today, he saved it. And as far as Obama goes, I mean, Bin Laden, Bush had 7 years to find out. You think he wanted to? No.
Oh, wait, excuse me.
Administration is warmongers. They want to keep the war going.
Okay, so let me ask
Obama said he would end the war. He ended 2 wars that Bush created, and Bush would never end.
I just have to jump in with one thing, Jake.
Yeah.
After 9/11, Mr. Bush had a plane on a runway to spirit 300 Saudi Arabians out of the country. They were all Saudis. 16 of the 20 people in 9/11 were Saudi Arabians.
Yeah, I know that.
What Steve says is 100% true.
Okay, listen.
Mr. Bush didn't want to kill Obama.
Yeah,
he didn't want to kill him.
No, he didn't want to kill Obama. Of course not. Obama is our president now.
He didn't want to kill Bin Laden.
Bin Laden, okay.
The SEAL teams could have gone in there 5 years earlier. The CIA could have made it happen too. Just like
guys.
It took Obama's administration to make it happen.
Guys, can I intervene for a second?
Because we would rather export oil than drill our own.
Do you know that we got no oil from Iraq? We got zero oil. We paid for everything. Every other country benefited from our soldiers' deaths and from our money and from everything. So if you say we did it for oil, we got shafted on this one. But let me first finish the thought on the auto industry. Auto industry, if you say Obama saved it, how can you say that somebody did something? Let's say Jim tells me that Reagan did something that's now hurting us because Reagan did it 20, 30 years ago. Now, you're telling me Obama saved auto industry. How did he save it if he just put a patch on it? He didn't save anything. Government does not save anything. Government cannot save anything because
he gave them a chance to get going, and unless they get off their asses because they're corporations and they got to start hiring people. If we start putting people to work,
did they hire more people or less?
People need to be working.
Detroit is dying, and Detroit benefits directly from auto industry. Detroit is dying even further. They're not hiring anymore.
They need to hire. I'm saying
they need
corporations need to hire people, get the economy going at a faster pace. People working make money. They're going to buy cars. They're going to buy everything.
Stephen, what you're saying is correct, but Obama dumping money into it did not do that. Actually, auto industry, GM laid off 120,000 people as a direct result of improper restructuring. They didn't restructure. They just dumped money into it. Dumping money is easy. See what welfare state scam is doing right now, and this is Obama perfectly for you. This is Thomas Sowell quote. What scam is doing right now, they will quietly take your money and flamboyantly dump a portion of it, showing you that they're giving it back to you. And this is what Obama is doing. Obama flamboyantly throwing back 10 cents on every dollar that he took from you in the taxes.
It makes no difference how much money you're talking about. He's putting his fingers in the holes that were created before him.
You can put fingers in any hole, but if you don't fix the hole, you can stick fingers anywhere.
He can't fix the hole because he's got a Congress that won't that
Oh,
fights on
please, please.
everywhere he goes.
So
Everything he does.
basically, Obama is a saint, and everybody else is
He's
against
no
him.
saint. He's no saint. I'm not
Okay.
saying that. I'm just saying he's the closest president in my
No,
lifetime
absolutely.
that's come to being for the people.
Oh,
He
please.
just
Well,
got
how's
his
he?
hands tied behind him.
Okay,
When I say the people, the average person. I'm not talking about the
Stephen,
2%.
Stephen, he hasn't helped an average person in the 5 years, and you still
Oh,
blaming Bush. Okay,
oh,
wait.
wait a minute.
Let me say
Oh,
something. Let me say something. Obama goes into the presidency worth less than $1 million, and now he's worth over $10 million, and he bought a mansion in Hawaii. And you're telling me he's the only poor president in the United States?
Okay, let Steve answer the question how Obama has helped the people.
Please.
okay. I'm a perfect example. 4 years ago, it'll be 4 years this summer. For the prior 5 years, I had a truck which I could not sell for $5,000. I bought it for $9,000. I had it for like 3 years. Couldn't sell for $5,000. I dropped it to $4,000. Still couldn't sell it. Not even a bite. Obama initiated a program called Cash for Clunkers. Well, anyway, I took my vehicle down to the Dodge dealership, and the way the program was set up, you got so much money for how much gas the vehicle was burning. Like my vehicle got 17 miles to the gallon. I was given by the government $4,000. The dealership matched that. I paid it in cash. I saved another $1,000. So I got a $20,000 car for like, $11,000. That helps the economy.
Okay, who paid the difference? Who paid the difference? I'm sorry.
The program was to get the economy going.
Right,
It comes from the tax. It comes from the tax base.
Tax base. So somebody had to pay for it. So eventually,
you got to pay for everything in this country.
no, but Stefan,
Now
you
want to
pay.
get into paying. Let's make it a little bit fairer on who pays. I mean, the rich are getting away with murder. They get away from paying taxes. The poor guy that makes 25, 30,000, he gets stiffed. He's got to pay 5, 6, 7,000.
Let me ask you a question. So do you want the rich to pay more, right?
Definitely. Oh, we
Okay.
gotta graduate that tax.
Let me ask you a question. How much did Obama pay in taxes this year? If he says that the rich should pay more, and he's rich now, how much did he pay in taxes, please?
18%.
Yeah.
18%. Now, is that less than an average?
Did Romney pay? How much did Romney pay? What percent did he pay? And he's got a lot more money than Obama.
13.
A president that tells you let's pay more, rich should pay more. Is Romney preaching into that whole thing? And Romney only gets investments from his business. Okay, so Romney pays correct amount that way he should. Now Obama preaches rich
I don't think Romney paid his share.
Wait,
he should be paying at least 40%, and what I feel
50%, right? I mean, according to you, rich should pay 100%.
No, 50%, just like the rest of the world.
You know what? Let me ask you a question.
This country, and they don't have to pay any taxes. Their tax at 13, 14% is ridiculous. Other countries are paying 40,
18%, but he says rich like me should pay more, and I paid 30%. So how's that?
I
fair?
have no idea how much you make, but I have a graduated plan, and it begins with people over $1 million should be paying 50%.
You know what? It's not my job to decide who's rich. But if Obama preaches, he should pay 50%, and he's not. So where's the formula?
That's my formula. It's not in effect, but I'm just saying that's what I would put in.
So how are you going to make people who actually preach to everybody else? You're going to make them pay more if they're actually exempting themselves. So that's socialism, isn't it? When you preach one thing and you use other people's money and you say another.
Socialism in its purest form is the most ideal form of government it would be.
You ever live under it, Stephen?
Yes. We've not seen the closest thing to real socialism we're seeing is in Sweden, and it's working fine. Crime is very low. Employment is very high. The economy is moving very well. Why can't we do what they're doing?
Because we're a larger society. Did you ever live in Soviet Union, Cuba, or any other nation like that?
That's not socialism. That wasn't socialism.
Oh, what was it? Oh, explain to me what was it, please.
That was an extreme left idea of socialism where one party controlled everything. That's not...
Steve, this is pure socialism for you.
Lenin and the Bolsheviks did not relinquish power to the people.
No, you know what Lenin said? You know what Lenin said? Can I exactly tell you the quote of Lenin? Socialism is a direct path to communism. And you know what Marx preached? You know what Marx was preaching? That the socialism has to be taken by revolution. And you know what? Everybody had to be. Why do you say the socialism is good? Because I lived in it. I've seen it. And
because It was like you
Why
say
does that be
coming
forced?
over here and living in a mud hut and saying, "Oh, I lived in the United States." You lived in the wrong type of
Wait,
government.
do
The right
you
country.
wait? Do you have a path to opportunity? Does everybody in America have a path to opportunity?
and it's
Everybody.
and the door is closing more each day.
Yes, because Obama is
No, 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 no. Because
please.
of the
You,
neocons. The
you're not
neocons
bothered.
cause all
You're
the
not a
problems.
Corporations are killing these
Yeah, the
guys.
neocons, the
Okay,
right
you're
wing.
the
But I
moderate
will tell you,
independent.
I
I
don't
know.
like the left. I don't like the left either.
Oh,
If it
wait.
takes,
So
if it
what is
takes,
Obama is not a left? Obama is a center, you telling me?
no, he's left, and I'm not left, and I'm not right.
Obama
If it
is
takes
upset
fighting in the
for
streets to get socialism in this country, I'm for it. Because socialism, when the people,
okay,
all
Steve, I have an advice for
power
you.
to the people, all power to the people. That's
Okay,
socialism.
no, that's not. That's the point. That's what they preach, but it's never like that. Can I explain socialism to you? When
You
you
can
see,
explain it how you see it.
well, no, it's not how I see it. It's how it is every single time. If you say power to the people, right? You say power to the people, and you make everybody equally miserable, because there's always greed, and the greed, when you have opportunity in capitalism, is good. When you have no opportunity, when the government decides for everybody what's good and what's bad, people are corrupt. Okay, so if you put government oversee everything, that's your socialism, and that's bad. Okay, if the
No, in
government,
socialism, the people that are greedy, the individualism would be eliminated. The people,
but you
social has been
individuals,
socialism has been coined into a bad phrase
because
in
it
this
is bad.
country. The word social is the best thing that people can have in life.
Okay,
To live for the society that you're in, not the individual.
okay,
That comes second. In this country now, individuals climb over each other to make themselves better. They don't care what they do. They're greedy. In
Steve.
socialism,
In socialism, there's no greed. In
those
socialism,
people would be
there's no
put in
greed.
jail. They wouldn't be allowed to exist in
Oh,
socialism
please, come on.
because
You
they're putting themselves before society.
you see socialism as a la la land fantasy. I mean, I'm telling you the reality of socialism. Okay, if you don't have individual power to decide for yourself, or speak freely, or decide what you want to do in life as far as opportunity, that's not a good life. And let me tell you, when they say empower the workers, the only people that get empowered in socialism is the government. That's it. Nobody gets empowered. You say individualism is bad. Steve, if today I tell you biking is good for everybody, you should bike, and you decide that you don't want to, and I force you, that's not a good system. Socialism is always forced.
Socialism, you're not forced into anything. You can do whatever you want. You don't have to work. You don't have to work.
No, no, no.
Live
Every,
all right,
every society in socialism.
forget Marx, forget Lenin. They were not true socialists to
Oh,
begin
okay,
with. They took an idea and twisted it, just like Hitler did. Hitler was a socialist too, and he twisted it. He's to
because
the
it's
left.
easy to
Hitler was
twist.
to the right, and the communist Bolsheviks went to the right. They're both wrong. That's not either. What is socialism? The real thinkers of Russia were Herzen and Bakunin, the people in the mid 19th century. Their idea of socialism emerged from the Mir, the agrarian society where everybody was equal and they helped one another. They
No,
picked their
you know
leaders
how
and they
socialism can
helped.
work.
They
You know,
didn't pick
you know how
leaders that were good.
socialism can work.
No,
It's not forced, but it's been forced everywhere, every
no,
single time.
not the Mir. The Mir had it back in the 19th century was like the ideal form of socialism.
Eventually, somebody wants more, and that's why it doesn't work.
Yeah, when
Eventually,
somebody starts to be an individual and want more, that
no,
is
no,
when they're
not
penalized.
greed exists, but the problem is you don't have anybody curbing the socialists that say do as I say and not as I do. Obama does that. He goes do as I say and not as I do. He says every American should contribute to society, and he takes vacations at the most luxurious and the most expensive level.
All the other presidents have done the same thing, if not worse. I
Bush,
mean, I don't agree with with Obama or some of the things he does. I know that they're not right.
that's
He should be more
pure
for the people.
socialism for you. That's
But
social. He says do as I say, not as I do. That's
uh,
it. That's
well,
it.
anyway, that's beside the point. We're talking about forms of government, and
He
he's just happens to be in the presidency right now. We don't have a democracy in this country. We have a plutocracy, which is
no,
run by people with money.
not supposed to have democracy. It's supposed to be a republic. We're supposed to be nation by laws. Okay,
Ah,
wait, let me
well,
let, let me say
we,
something. Can I? Can I
It's
finish?
supposed to be a democratic social republic, not a national plutocracy.
No. We're republic. We're republic.
Yeah, a social republic, a democratic social republic.
Okay. Let me say something. You brought up wars before, okay? Let me ask you. At least, okay, Bush went to war. Whether you agree or disagree, Bush ran everything by Congress, Senate. Obama,
Oh, come on.
wait, let me finish. Let me finish.
Lied to them. He got them to agree to go to war because he lied. Weapons of mass destruction that never existed.
First of all, Bush didn't lie. Okay, but now you're saying Obama doesn't lie every single time. Obama lies about everything.
He's not taking us into war, killing American citizens.
Obama just doesn't lie.
Out of war that Bush created.
Did Obama bomb Libya? Did Obama bomb Libya to get rid of Gaddafi and create more animals over there? Right? Did he run by Congress?
He should have got rid of more of them.
Was it
constitutional? He got rid of
Obama,
Bin Laden. If he had the power, he would go in and wipe them all out, take them all out, all the terrorists that are involved with attacking the United States.
Would bomb all the terrorists?
No, he would take care of the terrorists like he did with Bin Laden.
In Benghazi, right? Like he did in Benghazi. He slept through the whole thing.
Another thing that gets me going, gets me going. They're picking on anything they can on poor Obama. And I don't like Obama, but they're picking on him.
You're picking on Bush. You're picking on Bush.
That is nothing, and they're trying to make it a big thing. Nixon had Watergate. Reagan had the Iran.
He does in Watergate.
Had 9/11. We didn't go after Bush for letting 9/11 happen.
Wait, 9/11 was a scandal?
He was responsible. It was his watch.
Wait, and Obama can be still blamed.
Let that happen. He will not let this country be attacked. No way.
I'm getting tired. I'm sorry. I'm just getting tired. You blaming Bush for something that happened 5 years ago, and Bush steps into the office and right away he's responsible. Clinton had 3 opportunities to take his watch.
It's on his watch. Just like in Benghazi, the people there were put in by Bush. They were pushing it.
Wait. I'm getting a headache. I'm sorry. I'm getting a headache, honestly. Yeah, let me explain to you Benghazi.
Benghazi is definitely not a Watergate or Iran-Contra.
People just died in here. Watergate, nobody died, but here people died. Wait, Nixon took the blame for the Watergate. Okay, Nixon took the blame. No,
he was forced to resign. Most people don't even know who's responsible for Watergate. They just think that it's the Republican Party. It was the lawyers. You know why they went into Watergate? Because him and his wife were involved in a prostitution ring. They were afraid it was going to leak out that all the congressmen, and most of them from the...
Listen, Nixon took the blame. Nixon took the blame. How many blames did Obama take for any of the scandals?
Nixon didn't take the blame for that. He took the blame for covering it up. That's what he did wrong. He didn't know a thing about it.
Obama didn't cover up anything.
Nixon's biggest problem was he had lackeys that ran the government because he was trying to open the door to China with Kissinger. He let the domestic stuff fall apart.
You know what? I have one conclusion here. You're as left as they come. Welcome to the left-wing party, my friend.
I am not left at all.
You cannot blame Obama for a single thing, and you tell me you blame Obama. Obama is responsible for Benghazi. 2 steps downward. Wait, let me finish.
I feel bad for the poor guy.
Let me finish. Poor guy? Obama is a poor guy? Let me finish.
He's being attacked from the right. I just feel bad for him.
Of course he's being attacked. He's just the innocent saint that's trying to make the country better by making poor poorer. And he's a rich person that complains that the rich
don't hung up on him.
And
why not hang up on the issues of socialism? You know what we're talking about.
Jake, I'm going to go back to our topic. You and Steve have certainly had quite a debate here today. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
The original topic when we started the show was based on a newspaper editorial, which I sent to you. I don't think I sent it to Steve. Maybe he got it, but I sent it to you.
Yes. Yep.
And it talks about, I just want to go through something with you, okay? It says, does morality have a place on Wall Street? And what happened was, this fella named Schultz, who owns Starbucks, which really has been a raving success, and I'll be honest with you, I don't like their coffee. But anyway...
Let me just add something. A fellow I graduated from high school with is the vice president in that company.
No kidding.
Yes.
And they support Second Amendment. I like that company.
Tell him to get better coffee, okay? Anyway, this is the deal. Mr. Schultz gave a speech, And he said profitability is important, but also is treating the customers, the employees, and the coffee growers fairly. All right. Then secondly, in this article, the writer of the editorial went on to talk about Goldman Sachs. And they had a whistleblower at Goldman Sachs named Greg Smith. And on his way out the door, he wrote an op-ed article. And he said that Goldman views its clients as pigeons to be plucked rather than customers to be valued. He says that Goldman traders vie to see how much profit they can make at the expense of their clients. And then lastly, appended to that article were a bunch of comments from people on the internet. And I got a chuckle out of it because a few of the people wrote in and they said corporations were set up in the United States, the corporate laws, to make profits for their shareholders. If you read the original corporate laws, and the original one I would say was set up in New Jersey because of Standard Oil. They wanted to go from holding companies and trusts to corporations so that shares could be bought and sold and ownership could be divided amongst many, many people. If you read the original laws and today's law, you will see that corporations were chartered in order to benefit society. No kidding. It's right in the laws, and I would make a bet that corporations and the laws which set them up all contain language that they are there to benefit society. Not anything to do with profits or shareholders or anything. I've read many of these corporate statutes. They all say the same thing. Corporations, in other words, should be doing a good thing for society. So, Jake, let me ask you this question. Do you agree with Mr. Schultz that you have to have a mix in a corporation of profitability, treating the customers well? I wish his coffee I liked better. Treating his employees well, and treating the coffee growers fairly. As you know, these people seemingly that make these shoes, Reebok and Nike, apparently these workers live like animals wherever these shoes are being made. That was part of the article that I sent to you. So do you think that corporations in America have an obligation to look after profits, customers, employees, and their suppliers?
Well, you know how I feel about this. And I mean, it has nothing to do with the free enterprise, corporations, capitalism, socialism, anything. I used to run a business, okay? And my first thing was my customers and my employees. Why? Because my customers bring me the money and my employees make sure that my business works properly and the customers are able to come back. So I treated my employees better than I treat myself. I treated my customers. I would chase after them in the street if something was wrong, and I give them free machines to wash their clothes. I did whatever I could. I gave free candy to their kids. I mean, I was a businessman that was trying to stay in business, pay for my bills, and be able to bring customers so they can enjoy the environment and enjoy where they wash their clothes. It was a laundromat. My employees, I gave everybody a raise as soon as I came in. Not because a minimum wage says so, but because I said so, because I wanted my employees to appreciate where they work. So if you're asking me, I say moral is important. I mean, whether it has nothing to do with the system, it has to do with the individual themselves. Once again, it's individualism. Each person decides for themselves how they want to run their business.
I admire you for running it like that. You're an example of Southwest Air, unheard of little airline. But when the president came in, the new president there about 10 years ago, he put the employees before the customers. Because if you don't satisfy your employees first, you're never going to have customers.
Exactly.
The employees are the ones that bring the customers in and maintain them.
Exactly. And that's why a lot of companies, and Stefan, I have to agree with you on one thing. Training is important. When I started in information technology, every company offered training. But see, the companies compete for employees, If the market is good, employees can leave and go somewhere else. So now, if the company doesn't offer proper benefits package, part of it is training. The employee will go somewhere where they can get more skill set so they can build their asset within themselves. Now, you're saying that we should make the companies do something. No, that's the beauty of it. The companies that do not do properly will eventually fail. And if they don't fail, then the customers are just giving them privilege to do bad business. But I don't agree with bad business. I mean, see, capitalism doesn't create bad business. Individuals do. People do. And I mean, I personally.
That's the problem with capitalism.
No, that's not capitalism.
It's become individualist
hold
and
on.
not societal.
I want to ask Steve a question, Jake.
Wait, can I just?
I want to ask him a question on what you said. Jake has brought up an interesting topic here. He has talked about the fact that he, as a man, a human being, an individual, went in and raised salaries. And then he goes on to say that how you treat employees and customers and suppliers is sort of an individual thing.
Yeah.
But you have to understand something, both of you. If you read the Delaware statute, and as you know, the Delaware courts are by far the biggest courts and legislature when it comes to corporations, okay? At least 80% of major corporations in America are incorporated in Delaware, okay?
Yeah, it's cheaper.
If you read their statute, Steve, the individual doesn't have a choice. In the statute, it saes that they're supposed to benefit society. It's regulated. It's mandated. It's not an individual thing.
It's the way it should be. You benefit society. The individual is there to benefit society.
And do you think that corporations have fulfilled that obligation?
Hell no. The social responsibility in corporations is almost negative. They're getting further and further away from social responsibility. The big thing, Jake, that I want us to say what you're doing is right, and what the companies that are really smart, but they're fewer and far between each year, is profit sharing. That is the best way to motivate employees. Put them in with the profits. Don't let the corporations think the profits are all for the shareholders. Give it back, some of it, to the employees. They won't leave them. Give them schooling. They won't leave them. There's so many ways that we can perfect this.
I agree. I mean, listen, there's a better way to do business. There's a better way to keep your employees happy. And IBM, if you remember, IBM used to be a company that nobody left until the whole turmoil and everything else. But the point is, it's up to the company. The beauty of it, the company decides how they want to survive in business, not the government, nobody else. The company, the individuals that own or run the company. Yes, and if they want to run it into the ground, you can't tell them not to, because this is the freedom. I mean, you say they should benefit the society. Yes. I mean, you want to benefit the society, lead by your example, but you can't tell somebody else how to lead their lives.
I can't afford to start a business, but the people that control that are the shareholders through the board of directors. And the shareholders just want to, who the shareholders are the ultra rich. They just want to squeeze every little penny out of the little man, the working person.
Do you think that all the shareholders are always rich, or sometimes people just invest in the company?
Oh, I'm a shareholder, but I'm a dot. I'm a speck.
Okay,
but a sea of sand.
Wait, you're a speck with a voice. You're a speck with a voice. You always have a voice. And let me tell you, I mean, that's the beauty. That's the beauty of a free market. I mean, if you are a shareholder in the company, that means you believe it.
I have a voice. You had a voice in Russia under communism. That's like my voice in capitalism, and as a shareholder, it means nothing, my voice.
Stefan, let me tell you the difference, small difference between capitalism and socialism, the way I saw it. I ran my business the way I wanted to. I ran my business the best suit, so the business keeps surviving and maybe grow if I could make it grow. I mean, I did not cut corners. I did not mistreat my employees. I did not mistreat my my customers. Here's how the business runs in the socialism. The government owns the business. You come in to buy something. They don't even have to be nice to you as a customer. You're spending your hard-earned money, and they don't even have to be nice to you, because there is no other store that will have the same product. And if they do, it's a miracle. Okay? If somebody brings,
I said before, you were in the wrong type of socialism.
So there's no right. That's what I'm trying to say. There is no right type of socialism, because nobody cares.
We have let two countries take socialism to the extreme. And because of that, the word socialism, which is a natural word, society, has become a bad word in our society. Our society. Everything is our society, but the word socialism, which is the same word, is taboo. You can't use socialism as a term, but you can use society. The great society, why not the great socialism? Great society.
How about you use a different word? Whatever word you want to attach to it, it's a misery. I'll explain to you. I'll explain to you why. It's not just two countries. Cuba did it, Russia did it, China did it. Now China is turning a little more capitalistic than we are.
Yeah. See, they're coming around. They're coming around. But not through capitalism. They're coming around through the people becoming educated and putting them to work. The government put people to work, which is great. Now they've built the middle class. Jake, they've built the middle class. They're becoming proletarian. Capitalism is going to, like I said before, Khrushchev, we will bury you. And that's what's going to happen because their capitalism is on the rise. Ours is on the decline.
You know how they were going to bury us? With our own economy. And you know what? Obama is doing just that. He's destroying this country.
No. Russia and China are burying us. All right. Let me ask you a question.
Russia is more capitalist than the world.
Where in the world, Jake, is there still left a massive amount of resources that's untapped? Tell me where that.
Russia.
No.
Russia.
They have some, but that's in Africa. The continent of Africa. Now, the continent of Africa. It's untouched. That's where all the countries are going except the U.S. China is big there. Russia's there. I told Jim, I talked to a girl in Russia last night. The company she works for is making refrigerators and sending them to Africa, selling them to the Africans. The United States is not making anything here. We're not exporting anything to any country, let alone Africa. That's why we have the high economic problem in this country. No people working. If we've had growth in this country, there'd be no talk about the debt. The top economists in this country all have said for 3 years, forget the debt, put people to work, and there'll be no debt. If you're making $100,000, you owe $25,000. If you get a better job and make $125,000, you can take on even more debt. Because you cannot
artificially stimulate the economy. You have to allow the economy to stimulate itself by removing some of the over-regulations. I'm not saying not regulating business, but over-regulating business.
We've seen that. No regulations. So look what happened on Wall Street.
There was no regulations. You know how many regulations they had? They just broke a lot of rules. They broke a lot of rules.
They are the antithesis to what I call socialism. They're the greed people. The people that would be put out to dry under true socialism.
If something has to be forced on you, okay, first of all, it can never work. Second of all, you say government puts you to work. Government does not produce anything. Government does not create anything. Government artificially pretends that it does something. For example, if government puts people to work, people don't usually care because government doesn't really fire people. And in Russia, it was forced employment. That means there was no unemployment. Doesn't mean there is no people that don't, everybody wants to work. Most people don't want to work and they still get the same thing. And that's inequality in itself. Okay?
No, I disagree with that. I'm against government putting people to work. Believe me. I think there's too many bureaucrats, too many people working. For that matter, I just told Jim, the largest part of our budget in this country is not warfare, military. It's not the entitlements. It's the government. The government paying the pensions and employees. It's too big.
Yes.
Eliminate half of that.
And you're telling me the government has to put people back to work to grow even more? So government is too big. I agree with you.
It's too big. There's no need of it being that big. But
you just
how it happened because corporations started faltering and exporting jobs. So the people had to get into government jobs, service jobs. You got people that should be engineers for companies. They're selling hamburgers at McDonald's. I mean, this country is upside down.
Wait. Let me ask you a question. You're saying a government has to put people back to work, but then you agree with me that government is getting way too big and too fat.
Definitely. But I can see how it's happened.
Why would you want government to outreach more and you want government to put regulations even more if you're already agreeing with me that government is too big and too fat? Government is outreach. So if government steps and overregulates businesses to hire people, government is going to be in every business, and government is going to control everything. So you basically just said you contradicted your own point. I'm sorry.
No. I don't say government's going to be in big business at all. I'm saying they're just going to make regulations that the big business has to abide by. How many people does it take to make a law? Our Congress, in a judiciary, in a small legislative part, it doesn't take the big bureaucracy we have. Believe me, my brother's a bureaucrat. He's worked for 35 years in the government. And the biggest problem he said is they don't like to have to change from one administration to another. He was glad Obama got reelected because he didn't want to have to change back to another administration's policies.
What's that?
My brother, he says the biggest thing the bureaucrats have is maintain their jobs. They want to make sure that they go along.
Okay, all right. If that's how you want to listen, sorry, but Obama does not stand for anybody. He does not stand for any Americans.
Forget Obama. Will you?
Obama is there.
He's only going to be here for 3 more years, and there'll be somebody else.
Saul Alinsky is good night.
Jake, let me just say one thing. I used to write poetry. That was back in the 60s when people had a fair share of being able to speak out. I just took this out of one of my books. Out with the old, in with the new. Nothing has changed from my point of view. And that's the way it's been for 40, 50 years. And I don't see anything getting better here.
Stephen, how can you say that the president who attacks the media and the First Amendment is good for the country? That's people supposed to be. I mean, seriously, he doesn't attack just the right. He's attacking everybody. And if you say, Jim, you said that nobody likes Tea Party, but let me tell you, today they're going to attack Tea Party. Tomorrow they're going to attack you, my friend. I mean, there is no stopping. Once the government starts attacking, they will attack anybody. Okay?
Well, if you want me to answer that question, I'll answer it real simply.
Please.
I don't know why Obama and the Democrats haven't looked at the other side of the coin. As a trial lawyer, there weren't 2 sides to every story. There were 100 sides to every story. And I don't know why they haven't turned over
the other
side of the story.
You know why?
Every single one of those groups, maybe they were all conservative.
Two groups.
Are breaking the law. They're not into charity. They're into politics, and they can't be a tax-exempt organization. Why don't we look at that? They broke the law. The IRS had a right to investigate them.
Wait, Jim, whether you have a solid point there or not, I can't disagree. I don't know for sure, but they specifically attack groups with specific names. Now, the groups could have been liberal. I agree. They could have been democratic. I agree. But the fact that they were attacking these groups, they admitted that they were.
This is a joke. Obama fired the guy who was hired by Bush.
Wait, excuse me. Who was fired? Nobody's fired, first of all. Second of all,
the IRS was hired by Bush. He's now out. He resigned. Already resigned because he got fired.
Wait, no, he's still getting paid. They're calling it independent administration that was appointed by Bush. How can you be independent but then appointed by Bush? But Obama is always defending something that he's not part of. He's defending every single scandal, but he's never part of anything. How is it possible?
You think he was part of that?
IRS? Yes.
The IRS is maybe quasi-governmental. They're not.
Yes, they're supposed to be.
He basically doesn't have any responsibility over them.
Let me tell you.
It happened way before he was even aware of it.
You said Bush's watch was 9/11. This is on Obama's watch. Benghazi, Obama's watch. Fast and Furious, Obama's watch. Associated Press attacked, and then some people from Fox, Obama's watch. They're attacking everybody. They're attacking not just right.
As bad as 9/11 was, this past 5 years in our economy has affected everybody, and that's bad. When
yes,
that happens,
that happened. Obama's watch was economy for 5 years.
Last year, I told you, it was the Cheney administration, and the last year they let, what's his name, Funny Man.
Who?
The last president.
The Cheney?
Yeah, you got to remember, Jake, I have a memory problem. I'm sick.
You have associating the blame in the right places.
No. I forget facts. I'm trying to think.
No, it's okay. Steve.
Mental problem.
Steve, let me say something.
The last year of Bush's administration, they let him do things, and he let things slide to the point where Wall Street they just took everything. They tried one thing, they got away with it. They kept trying more and more.
Geithner cheated on his own taxes, and you're telling me that this is a guy that's supposed to run our finances in the country. Let me summarize something really quick, just for the sake of argument. Bush steps into the office. Less than a year later, 9/11 happens. Bush is at fault. Obama is 5 years in the office, and he's not to blame for anything because everything's still done by Bush. How does it make sense to you guys?
Well, can I ask you, both of you, one question in the last 3 minutes? Who was more favorable to corporations making profits at the expense of employees, customers, and suppliers? Was Obama more in favor of the corporations, or was Bush?
The way Obama talks, he makes Pied Piper look like a saint. You know, Obama, you cannot listen to what he says. Look at what he does. I'm not even gonna talk about this. I'm sorry, Jim, because Obama
hung up on this Obama thing.
Wait, let me.
I forgot about Bush. I mean, he's history.
Okay.
History will not even remember Bush. They'll remember Cheney as the most powerful vice president we've ever had.
Remember Obama as the worst president of the United States.
Cheney will be remembered, not Bush. 9/11 Cheney.
You know what the problem is? When Obama is out of the office and years later we're going to see how hard it hit us, everybody's going to agree he's the worst president. It's going to be too late to look back. The problem is that Obama says one thing and does another. Perfect example, Obama and his wife Michelle, they give a speech how terrible they feel about the economy. Every person in America should have a home. They should have food on their table. And they almost pretend like they're crying. Pretend is the key word. And then they go on one of the most luxurious vacations, more expensive.
I know. You're picking on Obama again.
It's easy to say things. It's easy to say things.
I don't like either one. But I'll tell you, the best president.
But you defend them. How does it make sense?
The best president we've ever had was Republican, and he was the first one, Abraham Lincoln. Whatever happened to the grand old party? It's become too far to the right, and I'd finish it right there.
You know the problem is with most Republicans now? They don't have a backbone to look at the founding principles and run this country on the founding principles. And you know what's the problem with the Democrat Party? There is no Democrats. Jim is the only Democrat that's left. Everybody else is a socialist.
Thank you, Jake.
Welcome, Jim.
I'm gonna make the final comment.
I thought we had 1 minute. We got 5.
Yes. About 4 minutes. My final comment is this: I don't think that Bush or Obama really make much of a difference on my issue. I really believe in my heart of hearts that the corporations have taken over the running of America.
Yeah, it's not the Democrats, really Republican presidents. It's the corporations. They are what's evil and have to be changed. And the only way I can see changing them is government control, unfortunately.
But more government control is not going to help.
Something's got to stop.
Let them get don't dump money into them. Don't give money to the banks. They're failing.
How do you
let them fail? You know why they were failing? They were failing for the same reasons you're bringing up, because they were corrupt. Let them fail. Let them fail.
They won't fail because they're raping the people.
They were failing. Let them fail. Let industry that's failing, let them fix themselves. Who helped me when my business was not doing well? Who helped me when I was trying to make my business better? I was trying it myself. Now, government stepped in and helped big business to be even bigger. And you're telling me capitalism? This wasn't capitalism. It was a bunch of BS. Government stepped in and just created a bigger problem.
All I can say is the corporations have more money in the bank now than they ever had, and they got so much.
Yes, and half of that money is tax money that Obama and Bush dumped into them. I agree. Bush creating stimulus was a bad idea. It was a bad idea.
Corporations used to be happy with 10%. Now, if they're not doubling their money, they don't want to even try doing it. They'll let the people.
Well, but some corporations are okay, according to Obama, like green energy that's failing in every turn, and oil industry is being scrutinized, even though they're only making profit.
Don't get me involved in the green thing. I don't care about Obama or Bush. All I know is Bush said that there was no such thing as global warming, but the true president in 2000. Mr. Gore said there was global warming. Come
Gore
to,
is a liar. Gore is a liar.
no, he's not.
No data.
Science
He had no
approved it.
data.
Science
He had
approved
zero
it.
data. Listen, can we mention the book before the end of the show?
Okay. What is it? Tales and
No. After Tastes and Tales from Russia.
After Tastes and Tales from Russia by Jake Danishevsky. After Tastes and Tales from Russia. Buy it, read it. It's a great book. I want to thank you, Jake, for coming on the show. Steve, we had a fabulous discussion. I still don't know if we answered whether corporations should act morally or not, but maybe that's for next time. So I say to all of our listeners around the world, das vidanya.
i-netradio.com. i-netradio.
Built like a rock to stand.